All right, guys, welcome into the AfterSchrock. That hour went by super fast. I swear it took me longer to get to the studio than to do the show today. The roads aren't too bad out there. I have a four-wheel drive truck, so they weren't too bad. There were some cars tootling around, and then there were some people who were just having fun. When you take an intersection in a snowy intersection at 20 miles an hour and turn left suddenly, you're going to spin around and flip around, and there's no one else on the road, so have fun, I guess. But no, by 10 o'clock, everything should be nice and plowed and everything. The plows are already out there. Weather reports are saying that we're going to get up to an inch. I think we already have more than an inch just based on what I saw. It's not blowing too bad. It seems pretty light and fluffy on the cars, but it's sticking pretty good to the pavement, and then they're plowing it off. So you'll be fine by 10. So if you wanted to come in, for those of you who have preventative maintenance checkup certificates that you purchased last September, let me see here. September, October, November, December, January, February. So that's 5 months. They expire in 6 months. So you're getting close to expiration time. So if you do have a preventative maintenance checkup certificate, we're probably not going to do the next one until April or so. It depends on when things kind of slow down for us. We see a slowdown in the summertime typically. About that time when people can start putting plants in the ground, things get slow for some reason. Go figure. People not in front of their computers, breaking stuff all the time. It's warm enough to go outside. Come on. So basically people get away from their computers and they stop breaking them. So we see a bit of a slowdown. That's when we launch those maintenance sales so that we're sure that we're not taking on too much work at one time and having bad service as a result. All right, so this is your chance. If you had a question during the show that you couldn't get through, this is your opportunity to ask. One of the things that I've been meaning to do, and I will make an effort to get to it this week, I want to make a video that shows you exactly how to set up your backup drive, because it's widely evident that the instructions I'm giving on the radio are great, but you need to see it sometimes. So I think I'm going to create a video where I walk you through how to do it. We'll post it on Facebook, and then that way you can see exactly how it's done. All right. So any questions here? Let's see. Mark, how's it going? Alan's here. Betty's here. Gary here. We're taking attendance. Bueller. Powdery snow. I want to use the leaf blower. Yeah. Actually, you could use the leaf blower on this one pretty easily. Good stuff. All right. What did not we get to today? Okay, Trojans. Trojans are coming back. Those stupid little antivirus things that are stupid little viruses that infect your computer, and originally they were there to steal passwords or steal banking information, and they've almost kind of become the laughing stock of viruses, but they're coming back. Now these Trojans are doing all kinds of things like cryptocurrency mining. They're mining not for Bitcoin because Bitcoin's too hard, but Ethereum and other coins that you can mine successfully on people's computers. These little Trojan infections get on your computer, and they just do it once in a while for a little bit. So it's not enough for you to think, man, my computer must be infected, but it's enough that once in a while your computer slows. And if they get that infection going on a million or so PCs, they're not making a huge amount of money, but it's more money than they're making sitting on their butts now. So just stuff to look out for. I'm preaching to the choir in the AfterSchrock here, guys, but gotta have antivirus software. I made a cursory mention that Carbonite this week bought WebRoot. WebRoot is the software that Best Buy recommends just to everybody who walks through the door. Oh my gosh, it is not. Have to be careful. It is not software that we would recommend at Schrock Innovations to meet your security needs. Okay. Same thing with McAfee. Same thing with AVG, or Avast. Was it AVG that bought Avast or Avast that bought AVG? I think Avast bought AVG. Same thing with Avast. Basically, you get what you pay for, and sometimes you get less than you pay for. The threats that are out there now are getting so much more sophisticated. The average user looks at their antivirus and says, I don't have anything on my computer that anybody wants. No one's going to come after me. Well, first of all, nobody's coming after you. They're coming after your computer. They are just, it's automated. There's not some master guy, in a sweatshop or a table full of Chinese kids hacking people. It's automated. So I create a program that looks for computers like yours that don't have antivirus, and when I find one, I infect it. Or I send out millions and millions of emails because I know just on the laws of probability, a few hundred people are going to click on a link, and when they do, I will infect their computer. I'll put fake posts on Facebook. I kind of joked during the show this week. I did a segment with Gary and Roger on the Good Morning Show on KFAB, and I told them so many bad stories start with. So my buddy posted a thing on Facebook, and I clicked the link. Oh gosh, here we go. And it's not that you can't click any links on Facebook. It's just you have to almost have psychic awareness on what links to click and which links not to click on, to go to different news stories and stuff. So, and it all in all, it's something. Just have good antivirus, and you don't have to. You can do whatever you want with your computer. Then you can go anywhere you want. You can click on any links you want. You can open any email you want. Just don't click, or just have antivirus, and you can do all those things. If you don't have antivirus software, it is possible that you are not infected, and you're clicking on things all the time, and you're saying, I don't know why I need this stuff. It's just as likely that you're infected and you don't know it. And you're like, well, if I don't know it, what do I care? Okay, it's like, nah. All right, so interesting stuff to watching the Chinese trade negotiations. China changed a law. Let me get this right. China's cybersecurity law update lets state agencies pen test local companies. What's a pen test? Pen test is short for penetration test. What is that? What is a penetration test? A penetration test is lawful hacking. So a penetration test is, if I own an organization and I want to make sure that our security is up to digital snuff, I might hire a security company to do a penetration test. Try to hack me, then report the results to me. Tell me how you got in, and then I can close those vulnerabilities so that nobody else can get in. Works out, right? So pen test. China's cybersecurity law allows states to pen test local companies. China draws up a law that makes it perfectly legal to hack any internet-related company acting within its borders. Now, watch this happen. Okay, this is if I was Thorstradamus, this is what I would predict. Right now, one of the biggest things that is hampering the trade talks, it's standing as a barrier in the way of the trade talks, is intellectual property protection. So what happens is, if you're a company and you want to do business in China, you have to partner with a local Chinese company. So if you want to do internet business, if you want to get Facebook in China, you can't just have a Facebook data center in the United States feeding stuff to China, because they're communist guys. They want control over this. They have to have control of this to maintain social order, read control over the people. So they're going to make you partner with a local social media company. And then we can take all of Facebook's wonderful technology. Maybe we even let you call it Facebook. And you're going to give that tech to this company in China, and China's going to go through all the code and make sure that everything is legit and nothing is going to cause social problems, and they're going to steal everything about. No, they're going to inspect everything closely to make sure it conforms with the needs of the Chinese people, and then you can do business in China, right? What's really happened in the meantime is this company in China, who is a direct competitor of yours, you've just given them all of your trade secrets. This is why Google backed out of China. They're like, we can't do it. We literally are giving away the essence of what makes Google Google and all of our products, and you're creating local knockoffs of our products, because now you have all of our intellectual property. You can do that, and we can't stop you because you're in China. And what? So now watch what will happen here when China will pass a law saying it is illegal, or they'll agree with Donald Trump in the negotiations that it will be illegal for Chinese companies or Chinese state actors to hack foreign companies with the intent of stealing intellectual property. Not that we're admitting we do that now, but it won't happen anymore. Okay? However, Chinese law stipulates they can penetration test any local company doing business in China. So as a result, we're a communist country. You can't ask us to let you offshore the servers, right? That would be like us saying, let's have a Uyghur concentration camp in Denver, okay? Come on. We're just outsourcing our Uyghur, our anti-Muslim, concentration camps, which we're not claiming exist or anything. China's not going to let you do that. And I think that everyone in the Trump administration is aware that China's not going to allow that to happen. That is, you're not going to give up something that endangers the core security of your administration. and your government, right? So how can we compromise on this? Perhaps we can compromise on this by saying you're not going to go after companies who choose not to do business in China, like the poor kid who invented what he called diamond glass, which was using some kind of diamond technology to make super strong smartphone glass. Huawei wanted a sample of it. So he gives a sample to Huawei and he's thrilled, right? This is a kid, a grad school kid. And he's like, this is amazing. The biggest smartphone company in the world wants my glass. Oh, they wanted his glass, all right. So they took his sample and they missed the deadline to give it back. And then after numerous complaints, they finally gave it back, but it was smashed and some of the shards were missing. And when he got it back, he turned it over to the FBI, and the FBI analyzed it and said, this thing's been hit with a 100,000 kilowatt laser. That's military grade laser technology, trying to figure out what makes this glass tick. And so he partners up with the FBI. They do a sting. He goes to CES in Vegas where Huawei has a booth, and he gets the Huawei guy to basically admit live on the wire that they were trying to reverse engineer his glass so they could just take it. That's what China does. So the trade deal here, China's not going to stop doing this. I don't care what trade deal that we sign with them. First of all, if they did say they were going to stop doing it, they've said they were going to stop doing it numerous times. It's never stopped. Okay, so what we are in right now is a war of civilizations where America seems to be the better innovator and China has all the production capability. So China right now can't make their own microchips. Well, they can. They just can't make them as efficient as we can make ours. And when you're dealing with a world where the future, whether you like it or not, is going to be artificial intelligence controlled autonomous robots. That's how we're going to fight wars going forward. That's how we're going to have to fight wars going forward. Talk to guys who are in the Korean War. You don't want to fight China in a land war because it doesn't matter how many bullets you have, you don't have enough. It doesn't matter how many bombs you have, you don't have enough. I mean, heck, they wanted to use nukes against China in the Korean War because they couldn't stop them. And they said, no, we don't want to nuke anybody else right now. No, let's not do that. So how do you fight that? We don't have enough people. We're going to have to make robots. That's just how it's going to be. So now you're going to have to control those robots somehow, right? And we don't have enough people. If we had enough people to fight, we'd have enough people to control the robots. But we don't have enough people to control the robots. So maybe we have a human as like the robot division commander and all the autonomous robots following his orders in their own autonomous way. Okay? So don't go full Terminator on me here yet, but I'm just saying this is where the world's going to go. And China knows that. China's got all these weird pieces of the puzzle. They've got anti-satellite weapons now. They've got, they tested a railgun at sea last week. These are all crazy new weapons. You know, they've got supersonic missiles, you know, so does Russia. We actually have some in development, but they're not deployed. Now, fairness, Russia's are all prototype. You know how Google puts things in beta forever? Those missiles are very beta, okay? But look at Russia. Yeah, I'm bareback on a bear. Woohoo! You know, like, okay, great. And China's over here like, oh, look at us. You don't want to mess with us in the South China Sea. We're a power. But China knows that they do not have the capability, if they are forced to go head-to-head with the United States militarily, that the United States won't outproduce them, but we will out-innovate them because we have better tech. And tech begets tech. This is kind of like Moore's law, where the more technology you have and the better your technology is, the faster you can use that technology to develop new technologies, okay? So if we have better tech than China, China has a certain amount of time to win a war or to become dominant in the South China Sea or take Taiwan or whatever their territorial aims are. And China's aim is to become America. Do you blame them? They want to rule the world. They want to be the top dog in the world. They want to be the country that is looked to as the beacon of success in the world. You know? Good for them, I guess. But they're going to do whatever they have to do to get there. And if that's steal it from us, they will. So whatever comes out of this trade deal, the idea that the theft of intellectual property is going to stop is a lie. The promise of no more espionage, that's a lie. And we're not going to stop doing espionage on them either, okay? So there's the best thing we can hope for here is that we can get a more equal playing field when we do get our companies into China, that Ford will have an equal chance to sell cars as everybody else. That China won't subsidize the steel industry in China to bring down the cost of Chinese steel so that they can run American producers out of business. And then once the American producers are out of business, they can raise the prices of steel. So that this is what's been happening for the last 10 or 15, 20, 30 years. That's got to stop. And if we can get those things to stop, we'll have a much more equal playing field. Do not plan on these trade negotiations giving us an even playing field. The playing field is not even now. If China gives up these advantages, we will have a significant advantage on the playing field. China knows that. So the argument here is, if you want an even playing field, America, we have to do these things. So you can see how these negotiations are very hard to do. And there's going to be some fancy footwork because both sides need an exit, and both sides need an exit pretty soon. So here we go. So anyway, there's your international intrigue segment for the day. Let me jump down here and see if we got any questions. Hi, Eileen. How are you doing? Good to see you from Des Moines there. We have not forgotten about our Des Moines people. I just haven't said anything in the last couple of weeks to Des Moines, have I? Well, no, I made a Des Moines reference today. I said, oh, you're in South Dakota or Des Moines or something, then you can't come in right away because we don't have a service center near you. Keith likes the Trojan man. Go figure that. Snowing again here too. Carbonite boo. All right, I have a question about overclocking. I finally found a game I can't run on max settings. An MSI NVIDIA 970. Oh, wow. Okay, I've never actually had to overclock anything before I got... Okay, so if you're going to overclock your NVIDIA software, your NVIDIA chips, liquid cooling your CPU, don't worry so much about overclocking your CPU. Most of the settings that games are going to require are going to be on the GPU, the graphics unit. So that's the one you need to overclock. So NVIDIA gives you driver software, and in the NVIDIA Experience software, there are settings that you can increase the clock speed of your memory and your core clock. So there's two types. When you overclock a video card, there's the memory clock and the core clock. They're both, usually you want to tweak them at the same time to keep everything in sync. How far can you tweak them? It depends on, number one, the power supply you have, how reliable it is. It depends on the card, how well it's working. There is even variance between two identical cards about how far you can push them to overclock because the tolerance levels in the chips. You know, if we require a chip to be 90% compliant to be released, and then because we know the settings are only ever going to go up to 70, well, if you get a card that is 97% compliant, that's going to overclock higher than a card that is 93% compliant. Not by a lot, but by enough. Now, the NVIDIA 970 is a really old graphics card, really old. You can buy right now for about $100 on eBay. You can buy used RX 580 4-gig graphics cards, which would blow that 970 out of the water and would allow you to play all your games on max settings again. So there's something to consider, because the downside of overclocking is you're going to create a lot more heat, You're good, so make sure you've got plenty of room in the case and case fans moving air. You're also going to create a lot of wear and tear on that chip and the fans. You lose a fan, you burn a chip, you're down a video card, you're dead in the water. Overclocking is a great short-term solution, or if you're an absolute performance enthusiast who's competing, overclocking can give you a small edge in gaming. But if it's in this case where your hardware has just gotten to that age where, you know, there comes a time in every graphics card's life, son, you know, it's time for greener pastures, the happy hunting ground, the recycling pit. That's where it's got to go. But you can pick up a good used card, like I said, on eBay. You know, the only thing you got to be careful on eBay when you're buying used graphics cards, watch out for miner cards, cards that were used for mining, because those will run at 100%, 100% capacity for an extended period of time. Most miners are pretty ethical, and they'll tell you it was a mining card. Some miners are not. The mining cards sell for less because they have a shorter leftover lifespan than a card that was not used for mining. So pretty straightforward stuff there. All right, moving on along. All right, Carolyn's back. Good to see you, Carolyn. I can't click on any of my friends' links they share on Facebook, at least not in mixed company or at work. Yeah, that was, what's that acronym? Oh gosh, what is the acronym where not fit for work? NFW, not fit for work. Yeah, or not appropriate for, I don't know. So somebody was like, it's NFW, and I'm like, what does that mean? And like, nasty. No. Come on. What does that mean? And they're like, not fit for work. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Please don't click on things that are not fit for work. I appreciate that. All right. Let's see here. There you go. NSFW. Not safe for work. That's what it was. Not safe for work. What's the link to the Windows 95 OS you referenced? Okay, I said I was thinking about doing it. I didn't say I did it. So let me get it here. It's on GitHub. Windows 95 GitHub. Bum. Here we go. Windows 95 in Electron. Runs on Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. Okay. Okay, so when you download this, you're going to want to download either the standalone 32-bit or more likely the standalone 64-bit. So scroll down because GitHub is a software development repository. So you're going to see a lot of files and things that's going to look really confusing. Just scroll down to the standalone deployment. That's what you want to get. If you have a 64-bit processor, which almost everybody does, you want to get the 64-bit version. If you get the 64-bit version and it doesn't work, you have a 32-bit processor, go back and get the 32-bit version. All right, last call for questions, guys, and I got to wrap her up here. In fact, I'm loving this right here. So this is the key fob for my new Ford F-150 that I got a few months back. And what I can do with this is I can hit lock and remote start, and it will blink at me. That green light you just saw blink there tells me that my truck received the signal and has started. If it blinks red, it tells me I was out of range. So if I'm out of range, I can grab my smartphone here, you see. This just blows people away. And I can go into my Ford Pass app, which takes a ridiculous amount of time to load. I don't know, Ford, you got to work on your software a little bit. I know you hired a bunch of guys to work. See, I'm having the whole conversation while I'm waiting. Is this not solid state? Come on. And then there's my truck right there, and I can just press the start engine button. Wherever I'm at, it will start the engine. I could be in Des Moines, and my truck could be in Omaha. I don't know how I got to Des Moines, but I could start my engine if I wanted to, or lock my doors or unlock my doors. I can see it's giving me a warning that my windshield washer fluid is low. I got a push notification on my phone that my windshield washer fluid was low. Go figure that one out. Gotta love it. First world problems, you know. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for the program. I really appreciate it. Carbonite will do backups, but when I want my data back, it was like, yes, that's the thing. Carbonite will back up your stuff, does a great job of backing up, except video files are never backed up unless you specifically add them, and files over 2 gigabytes in size will not be backed up unless you specifically add them. Just a heads up. But when you want to restore your data, doing a full hard drive restore of your data can take like 72 hours. The download speed is incredibly slow. And that's how they keep the cost down, basically. So you go get if you're going to restore your Carbonite and you need a specific file, get that file first, and then you start the other restore, and then go pull a Rip Van Winkle for 3 days, and then come back and you'll have your files back. All right, guys, I got to roll. I'll try to make that video this weekend on how to exactly back up that hard drive for your computer so you can set up your own backups. But please take a moment to check your backups, guys. There's no worse feeling in the world than to think you have a backup, to have something happen, to have the confidence that you have a backup, and then to find out that your backup didn't run since 2017 because you got an update for Windows 10 that pushed it to a new version that turned off the Windows 7 backup. You don't even have file backup at that point. We've had customers in that position. We are actively checking computers when they come in the service center. If they have safe and stored backup systems, we're checking them to make sure that their backups are turned on and running. File history backup is the one you want to run. In Windows 10, it's not available in 7. But you just literally, you hook up the external hard drive, you click the go button. I'll make a video. It's super easy. Once you see it, you're going to be like, oh, gosh, that's really easy. Describing it, obviously, is a little more complex, but once you see it, you'll realize it's really easy. All right. Negative 15 in Montana. Woo! Welcome aboard from Montana. I think that's the first viewer listener we've had in Montana. I don't recall any others. We've had Arizona, California, Nevada, Iowa, of course, Nebraska, of course, Florida, Texas. Well, the first that's identified themselves. The first proud. If you're from Montana, are you? How do you say that? Like a Montanite, or a what's the word for a citizen from Montana? I'm a Nebraskan, right? And you're an Iowan if you're from Iowa. Are you a Montanan? I mean, how do you say that? I'm curious. All right. If your truck is stolen, does it tell you where it is? Actually, yes, it does. I can actually see my truck. I can see where it's at, and I can disable it. Uh, pretty cool stuff. All right, it's cool when you can't remember where you parked from Kansas City. Yeah, that was fun. Like, that's great when you're in a parking garage and it gives you a GPS dot to tell you where your car is at, but it doesn't report elevation. There's no elevation. So you're like, oh, I'm somewhere in this stack. And you're just mashing all the elevator buttons, and the people next to you are like, really? All right, Brian, I'm stalling for you. I want to hear it is Montanian. Yes, Montanian. All right. So if you welcome aboard, all of you Montanians out there, we love having you. All right, guys, thanks for joining us on the program. It was a blast. I love doing the show. We'll see you again next Sunday for another edition of Compute This.